I've been married for a few years now, and overall, my marriage has been a good one. My husband is genuinely a great partner. After being in a previous relationship where my ex cheated on me with his best friend, that kind of consistency mattered more to me than I can explain. Being with my husband made me feel settled and happy in a way I hadn't felt before. That past relationship definitely affected me. I won't pretend it didn't, but I took the time to work through it and made a real effort not to carry that baggage into something new. And my husband had never given me any reason to question him, at least not until recently. Our relationship itself is solid. We're both social people, we spend time with each other's friends, and for the most part, his friend group has always been welcoming and kind to me. For the most part. There's one person who's always felt different. His childhood best friend. Let's call her Meg. Meg has never been openly rude to me. It's been much quieter than that. Subtle enough that you end up questioning your own reactions. When we're in the same space, she doesn't exactly exclude me outright, but she doesn't include me either. I often felt like conversations flowed past me rather than including me, and for a long time I wondered if I was reading too much into it. I still tried to be friendly. I smiled, made conversation, showed up with good intentions even when it didn't feel reciprocated. She doesn't come to group hangouts, but she does invite my husband to spend time with her one-on-one. To be fair, he's always been transparent about it. He tells me when she reaches out and never hides anything. Still, something about that dynamic never sat well with me. I invited her to birthdays and our engagement dinner. She declined all of them. She didn't attend our wedding either. When I brought this up in the past, my husband brushed it off. He said Meg was socially awkward and didn't mean anything by it. I tried to accept that explanation. Not everyone opens up easily, and I didn't want to assume bad intentions. Then, a few weeks ago, she messaged me out of nowhere. She asked if I'd model for a project she was working on. It was strange, and I was surprised and caught off guard, but I agreed. Part of me thought this might be her way of finally making an effort or trying to connect. It wasn't. My husband came along to the photo shoot with me, since he hadn't seen her in a while and thought it would be nice to catch up afterward. When we arrived, her family was there too. Almost immediately, the atmosphere felt uncomfortable. Her mom and sister kept referring to my husband as our son-in-law. At first, I laughed it off, assuming I had misheard. But it kept happening. As the shoot went on, the comments continued. Small jokes about the one who got away. Comments about how certain connections can never really fade. At one point, her mom openly said they had always expected Meg to marry him and mentioned that Meg had pictured walking down the aisle with him. Then she added, "It's sweet of her to fill in, though." I remember focusing very hard on keeping my composure. Meg didn't step in. She didn't look uncomfortable. She just kept taking photos and acting like everything was normal. My husband was clearly uneasy. I could see him shifting, clearing his throat, trying to stand closer to me or redirect the conversation. But he didn't say anything. As much as I wanted to leave immediately, I kept my word and stayed for about an hour. I smiled for the camera, posed, and finished what I had agreed to do. The entire time, I felt like I was part of some private joke that everyone else understood. When we finally got back in the car, my husband sat quietly for a moment and then said, "That was weird, right?" And yes, it was. It was uncomfortable and disrespectful. What hurt the most was knowing he noticed it too and still didn't intervene. That made me feel incredibly alone. I was exhausted. I was done telling myself Meg was harmless or just awkward. I didn't want a big confrontation, but I also didn't want her lingering in our lives in this way anymore. I was tired of trying to be the cool wife for someone who clearly didn't want me around. That was the end of Post 1. The following update was given by the wife in a few days after it was posted. Before I even had the chance to sit down and really talk to my husband, something else happened. While I was still trying to process everything, my anger toward Meg and some lingering hurt toward my husband, I got a message from my sister-in-law. She's part of the same wider social circle as Meg, though they aren't particularly close. She sent me a screen recording from Meg's close friend's story with just one message. "What is this?" It was a video from the photo shoot, and in the background, you could clearly hear Meg's sister say, "Meg should have been the one to marry him." That was the moment everything came crashing down. When my husband got home, I showed him the video. He watched it once, then again. This time, his reaction was completely different. He looked angry. I finally told him everything. Every comment, every moment, Meg made me feel small, and how hard I'd tried to stay civil without ever asking him to choose sides. I told him I was done tolerating that kind of disrespect. I told him that if this wasn't enough for him to take action, then we had a much bigger problem. He didn't argue or get defensive. He asked me what I needed from him. I told him clearly that this wasn't just about Meg anymore. I needed to know he would protect our marriage. I wasn't willing to feel like I came second in my own relationship. It was either me or her. After that, I showed him the Reddit post. He read through the comments quietly, and some of them clearly affected him. He told me he felt ashamed that he hadn't spoken up sooner, so we decided to call Meg. She answered as if nothing was wrong. When we brought up the video, she brushed it off as a joke. That's when my husband finally spoke up. He told her that staying silent before had been a mistake, that what happened during the shoot crossed a line, and that if she couldn't respect his wife, then she didn't respect him. She laughed it off and said, "Wow, you're really gonna cut me off for her?" That was the end of it. My husband told her that if choosing between his wife and anyone else ever felt difficult, he wouldn't deserve this marriage. He said he was done. We blocked her, and her entire family. Since then, he's been showing up, listening, checking in with me, not trying to rush healing or fix everything, just being present. We still have things to work through, but now I know exactly where he stands. And for those who are wondering, I'd like to clarify that. I don't believe my husband has ever cheated, emotionally or physically. He's always been open and honest, and there's never been secrecy. They don't actually see each other very often anymore, maybe once every few months at most. They were never in a relationship. He had a brief high school crush years ago, but it never went anywhere. That's the end of the story as it was shared. Do share your thoughts in the comments.